Would you prefer this lighting or this lighting? Let's talk about lighting, shall we? Hey, George here, back with another video, and this time let's talk about lighting in general. Let's talk about why you need it, how to do it, and later on I'll share some tips and tricks and maybe some DIY stuff that I learned throughout hours of watching tutorials about lighting. Lighting is a key aspect in filmmaking and photography. It is used to create depth. It is often overlooked, but you'll be surprised by its effect on your image once you get the hang of it. By manipulating light, you tend to create these shadows that gives depth. You tend to create a visual guide that your object has depth, it has thickness, it has texture, kind of gives you a cue that your image is not flat. I can't emphasize it enough how important lighting is, but it is worth looking at if you want to improve the production values of your videos and your photos. Actually, if I may share, I was inspired to create this video when I saw a tweet from my YouTube buddy Marc Steiner, and his tweet says,
"The biggest upgrade to my YouTube channel happened after I bought my first light and started learning about lighting. Lighting and audio is what takes your stuff to the next level, not the camera."
In which he quoted Tommy Calloway, another great YouTuber, and his tweet says, "If you find yourself watching reviews of new cameras all the time, but you haven't bought any lights yet, I have some advice for you. Buy some lights." Which is true, lighting is essential, but most effective and great lights do come with a price. But what if I told you that there are cheap and alternative ways to get good lighting? If you're like me, a struggling creative who doesn't have the budget to get decent lights, and you tend to search and dig deeper for alternative and cheap ways to get good lighting, you, my friend, have come to the right place. Okay, enough talking. Let's get to the part where I'll share what I know so far. Okay, whenever I'm shooting my A-rolls, this talking headshots, I always use the concept of three-point lighting. Three-point lighting is a lighting method wherein you will be using three lights. These lights are called key light, fill light, and backlight. Starting with key light, as the name says, it's your key light, so it should be the main and the brightest light that you would use. Next, we have the fill light. This is used to fill in some of the dark shadows created by the key light if the shadows are too harsh. Usually, it's a less powerful light compared to your key light or any white surface to bounce off some light from your key. And lastly, the backlight. This is used to create an outline to your subject, making a separation between the background and the foreground. Here's a diagram of the three-point lighting setup showing where the three lights are located. And for a bonus information, we also have what we call practical lights. These are the lights that are visible on your scene and contributes a bit of a light to your background. Here are some examples from my past videos. Okay, but the burning question is, do we really need 3 to 4 lights to achieve this look? The answer is no. I think we can achieve this kind of look with just using 1 or 2 lights. But if you have plenty of lights to work with, then good for you. But our main goal here is to experiment and be resourceful enough to be able to use the things that you have around you to get good lighting. Okay, without further ado, here we go. Let's start with scenario number 1. Location is near a huge window and we only have one lamp. For this scenario, we will be utilizing natural light, which is a free light source that you can take advantage of. It's powerful, it's soft, it's free, but the main disadvantage of using natural light is that you can't control it. Once it gets dark outside, you have no option but either adapt to it or wait for it to be bright again. Actually, I'm using natural light right now. As you can see, here's on my left, here's the huge window that casts a soft light on me to light up this scene. But again, as I've said a while ago, the disadvantage with this is that you can't control it. And as I can see, it's actually getting dark. So yeah, there. You can always have options for this. If you're going for what we call the beauty light, the type of light that is mostly used on vlogs and on makeup tutorials, all you have to do is face the window and let the light shine on you up front. This will cast a balanced light throughout your face, showing every detail, then casts a shadow on the sides and on your chin to create depth. But since we're going for the 3-point lighting style, we have our key at around 45 degrees from me, so that's our key. Going back to the 3-point lighting style, we already have our key light, which is the window, and as we check our shot, it produces a bit of a harsh shadow on this side of my face, so I think we might have to add some fill. But we're not going to use our lamp yet. Instead, we're going to find white objects, any white panel that we can use as our fill to bounce off some of the light. Okay, here's a quick demo on how a fill light works. So here's our key light, and I have here a small white towel, and as I put it on this side, you can see that it will brighten up some of the shadows on this side of my face. So if I put it here, as I check my shot, as you can see, the side of my face is quite brightened up, so there. So without fill, it's dark, and with fill, it's now bright enough so you can see my whole face. But I will not I will not shoot like this because I look stupid. For our situation, I have here this white cloth that is huge enough to be a fill. So we are going to use this, and I'll be mounting it on a ironing board. So I just need something that would stand right beside me and with the proper height. So I think this ironing board would work. So I just use this. Here is before without any fill. As you can see, it's dark. And here's after we set up our fill on this side to brighten up some of the shadows in this side of my face. Now, to spice it up a bit, I'll be using a lamp for two purposes. I'll be utilizing this as a backlight as well as a practical light. So what I'll be doing is just mount it somewhere in the back and fix the light towards me to create the outline that we want, as well as to add some practicals on our scene at the back. So there, I mounted it on the bed at the back, so it acts as a practical as well as a backlight that creates this outline that separates us from the background. With just using the window as our key and this white cloth as our fill and a small little lamp at the back so it would work as a backlight as well as a practical light, here's our final shot for scenario 1. Now let's move to scenario number 2. Location is a room with a small or no windows at all, and you have one LED light on your kit and maybe the same lamp we used in scenario 1. Okay, for this scenario, it's nighttime, so obviously we don't have any natural lights in here. So we're going to utilize one of the two lights that we have as our key light. There are two ways that we could pull this off. One is by bouncing the light to a white surface, or the second is by using modifiers. But why do we need to do that? We will be doing this to transform the harsh light to a soft light. If we're going to just face the light, just point it towards us, it will create a harsh light and create some harsh shadows, which is not really a good look. Let me just put it back on. Modifying our lights gives us a soft light that casts a soft shadow throughout our face, which is more of a flattering and more of a professional look to your shots. So again, just for comparison, here's the one with the harsh light, and here's the one with the softer light. So see the difference? Okay, for this scenario, we are doing the method of bouncing. The basic principle for bouncing the light is to point your light towards a huge white surface and let the light bounce back to your subject, then it will cast a huge and this soft light that we want for our shots. For our current situation, I was able to find this huge tarpaulin, so obviously we're going to use the white side of the tarpaulin. So what I did is I hung up the tarpaulin on this side, and then we have here our small LED light just pointing towards the white surface, letting the light bounce back to me. So it's softer, it's even larger, and it's giving the look that we want for our shot. Now that we've set up our key using the white tarpaulin and the small LED light, again, we have to observe our shot. The key light creates a bit of a harsh shadow on this side of my face. So going back with 3-point lighting, and the same as we did with scenario 1, we will be setting up a fill on this side of my face. Okay, same as the one that we did before on the scenario 1, we have this white cloth that I mounted on this side. Here in the frame, you'll see that it's mounted on a stand. So this is a fill. So let me just put it out just so it wouldn't be seen on the frame. So there, so there's our fill light. Then lastly, we still have one light to utilize for this scene. We have this lamp, so we can use this two ways. So first, we can utilize it the same way that we did with scenario 1, wherein we used it as a backlight as well as a practical light. We can do that by positioning the light over here, but we can also use this light to light the background behind me to give some of a different kind of flair for the shot. What we're going to do is we use this lamp and just attach a layer of a blue cellophane on top of it, so it will act as a DIY gel to give it a different kind of color as it blasts to the wall. So it's here. So here, with the small LED light and the white tarpaulin as our key light, then I have here a white cloth as our fill and the lamp with a blue cellophane as the light to the background. Here's the final shot for scenario 2. Alright, so next, let's move on to scenario number 3. Alright, for our third scenario, we are going to recreate the lighting that I used from my last video, which is this one. So basically this is the setup, but I'll run you through each of the lights that we will be using to light this scene. Starting with our key light, I used a LED bulb and a Chinese lantern for it. Yes, you heard that right, a Chinese lantern. If you haven't read about it, using a Chinese lantern is an affordable lighting technique which is usually called as China ball in filmmaking. It is a good affordable lighting technique because one, the light is soft because the paper acts as a diffuser, so it is guaranteed that your light would be soft. 2, it is affordable and easy to replace. And 3, it is so versatile that you can easily set it up and mount it anywhere you want. So for this shot, again with 3-point lighting in mind, we will put our lights around 45 degrees from our subject, so our key light is around here. So here's how the key light looks. So after we set up our key, actually you can already go with this shot. You just have to add some practical lights or some backlights on your background just to add a little flair to your scene. But for me, judging with our shot right now, the key light I think generates a bit of a harsh shadow on the side of my face. So again, the same with the past scenarios, we will be setting up a fill light on the opposite side. So the same with before, we will be using this white cloth. Let me just set up our fill right now. So I have here a stand. So there. So it's out of frame here on my side. So there, that's our fill. Okay, now that we've got our key and our fill on the opposite side, it's now time to add a little spice on this scene. So again, with using our favorite lamp that we're still using up to this scenario. So as you can see, it's already mounted on this side of the scene. So let me just turn it on. Again, I used a tungsten bulb so it will give a warm cast or a warm tone to the scene. So again, we use the lamp for dual purposes. One as a backlight so we can have this outline that we want, and 2 as a practical light that you can actually see on the scene behind me. And since we're in scenario 3 wherein we will use all our resources in order to light this scene, so I'll be adding another light in this setup. So I have here this small LED light. So we will be using this, so I just need to turn this on. So I turned it on, and we'll just use this as a help for our backlight to separate me more from the background. So we will just put it on this side. So as you can see, it will cast a small amount of light on this side just to help the backlight to separate the subject more from the background. So again, as you can see, here's the light. It will shine a bit of light from on here and on here. So again, without the light, here's what it would look like. And again, with the light on, just a small addition, but I think it's a huge help. So again, with 3-point lighting in mind, we have our Chinese lantern over here as our key, and then we have the white cloth as our fill. It's around on this side. And then we have our favorite lamp over there as the backlight, as well as a practical light. And then we have a small LED light here just to help the backlight. So here's our setup for scenario 3. Alright, so there you have it. Those are the things that I know so far. There are so many ways to light your scene with the resources and the things that you have around you. With a little knowledge on the basic stuff and the concepts about lighting, for sure you'll know how to get around and get good results. If you have the money to do so, then why not? You can always purchase lights that would help you in creating videos and shooting your photos. For sure it will be a good investment along the way, but for now that we're just starting, we're still learning, I think these techniques are good enough to get you through in creating content like I do. So there, again, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and finishing this video up to this point. I know this video is kinda on the long form content style, but I do hope that you learned something from this video. So go out there and try these techniques in lighting your scenes. As always, if you like this video, give it a huge thumbs up. If you got something to say, you have comments, you have reactions, you can always comment down below. Also, if you like what you see and would love to support my work, show some love and support by clicking the subscribe button down there, and also the notification bell right beside it, so you'll be updated with my new videos. That's good. I appreciate that so much. Please click it now. Click it now, please. And you could also support me by buying me a coffee via Ko-fi. Links in the description to keep my nerves running so I can still create content for you people. So yeah, a cup of coffee is good enough for me. And again, here I am reminding you to keep learning, keep creating, and keep grinding. Again, my name is George, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out. Give it a huge thumbs up if you like. Coffee link in the description. Get the beer, baby. This is some ASMR content for you people. This is how versatile this channel is. I could create videos about anything, and using ASMR